Over the past couple of days, we've basically been trying to explain how the IMF is trying to copy Ripple, and how the battle with the SEC really doesn't make a lot of sense, and it just keeps expanding and becoming even crazier. Now, in this video, I'm going to be showing you so many interesting things. I think I can fill 3 videos today with just the sheer amount of craziness and content that I've got. So make sure, guys, that you press that like button, but more importantly, put that notification bell on because we have so much crazy stuff to cover today. Point number 1, Amazon and IMF collaborating in a pilot program after, again, we already covered all these IMF Ripple connections, where on a paper on the IMF's website right now, they consider XRP a digital currency, basically. I think the official name they call it is virtual currency. We also know the IMF has praised Ripple in the past, and what the IMF is focusing on right now is, again, a new CBDC proposed by the IMF and central banks, which basically copies Ripple in a lot of ways, shapes, and forms. And again, they've basically been praising Ripple throughout all time. And people that have been at Ripple, they're now going there and they're basically switching in between. The point being here, this is all some very juicy connections. And I guess from that perspective, we know we're on the right path. At the same time, even though I wanted to make this video about XRP for the most part, because that's what's most interesting here, there's just so many interesting connections to pinpoint. One of them is Bitcoin holding $30,000. Well, not really strongly, but it has bounced off a couple of times. Right now, we're just hovering around the $30,000 mark as the bulls flaunt their advantage in Friday's $715 million Bitcoin options expiry. So yes, we're all watching that. This week has been huge with massive new announcements coming in. But still, the question is going to be, where are we going to be closing this Sunday? Because that's the first weekly candle at these new crazier prices at $30,000, etc. And today we have some massive expiries yet again, right? Today is Friday. And it's the first of these expiries after all these major announcements came out, which is interesting. Now, staying on the line of good connections and interesting things, let me call it, former Ripple advisor, this is a while back, Michael Barr, will supervise the Federal Reserve. This was July of last year. And look at what Christine Lagarde, liar from the ACB, the way I'm saying that is because she said no recession, and then a recession came. It was a pleasure to meet Michael Barr at the Federal Reserve Vice Chair of Supervision in Frankfurt today. Ripple coming in hot. Ripple coming in hot. I should also state that I found this very interesting. Like, what? The SEC just fined JP Morgan after what? What happened? Well, after apparently, and it feels like the SEC, after 47 million banking records were accidentally deleted. First fun point is you can't delete records off of blockchain. But second of all, how do you accidentally delete 50 million banking records, right? That's interesting. And also, let's take a look at Jimmy, or Mr. Jim Cramer. Funny stand-up from 2 stand-up guys who have been very right for a very long time. That's a response to Cameron Winklevoss, who said, Bitcoin up 25% in a week. My boss, why are you late? Me, watch your mouth, right? That's how a lot of people be acting when crypto prices go up. But I'm not sure what Jim is doing right here. When crypto is pumping and then Jim flips bullish and people get scared because, well, you know, inverse Jim Cramer. We always do the exact opposite. So I'm not sure what his stance here is supposed to be. This was 10:55 p.m., 11:08 p.m. He said, understand, I'm not against crypto and done quite well with it. I am against bogus crypto and outfits that stole your money and wouldn't let you have it back. But I'm not sure exactly how that makes sense because he's also been against Bitcoin. He's been against basically every crypto in the book and been for them too. So this guy's just, in my opinion, a little bit of a con artist in the sense that he just goes with whatever works best at the time and ignores all his principles to go with whatever flow suits his boat. John says, Jim, you were all in, and then you had a meeting with Gary Gensler, and immediately after that meeting, you flipped and called everything securities. You chose to carry his bags for him. You are wrong for it. So, like I said. And yeah, while he's trying to defend the SEC and the SEC chair and all their actions, there are also people like the former CFTC chair here who allege that the SEC acted deliberately in the timing of the Coinbase lawsuit. And that's something we've been alleging here. Now, guys, before we move on, make sure you press that like button if you haven't done it yet. But we've been alleging that this is all one big scheme, that The SEC going after Binance right after Coinbase or anything of the sort, like of that nature, and the ETFs, it's all basically been planned for let's make some fear in the markets. Let's take these guys down. Let's do it in one fell sweep. And then the others come in, like the BlackRock and all those, because there's massive amounts of fear right now. So prices are lower, movements are weaker. And so we can build more and make these announcements while the prices don't spiral out of control. Because we all knew, inevitably, the moment they file for an ETF, people are going to get bullish, right? So better to do that when there's massive amounts of fear than when everything is stable or on the up and up. No, you want things to be a little bit shaky, is what I'm thinking. But Giancarlo has another very interesting theory, and this I'm going to be expanding upon in another video coming out later today. Not sure which one yet, because I'll be releasing 3 videos in the next, 17 hours or something like that. I don't know, some very cool stuff. But he appears, all right, the SEC appears to have acted deliberately when it brought charges against Coinbase. When did they do that? Well, apparently they did that hours before their CLO was set to testify before Congress. Former CFTC Chair Chris Giancarlo said on Thursday. Giancarlo said that from his experience in leading a federal agency, the move seems to be deliberate. And yeah, that makes sense. He calls it politics. The SEC accused the crypto exchange on June 6th of willfully violating federal securities laws when it listed unregistered securities and offered its staking program. Hours later, Coinbase CLO Paul Grewal appeared before the House Agriculture Committee to testify. Maybe they try to shake him up a little bit, huh? At that hearing, Grewal said it was disappointing but not surprising that the SEC has decided to bring legal action against them that day, the day of our testimony before this committee's critical hearing on creating a workable framework for digital asset regulation. The SEC did not really respond to that, except for saying that, the SEC basically wants to regulate crypto properly. But again, as we've seen before with Coinbase's request, their letter to sit down with the SEC to talk about the rules, they haven't responded, and they have still 120 days to do so, if at all. But it just shows they're not really here to make rules. They're here to make people confused, and they're here to be jerks about it. I don't know. I think there's a very good chance that these bills pass the House this year, Giancarlo said. He was less optimistic about a bill passing through the Senate, but I believe in July, the committee is also going to be sitting down again to try get some rules out there for crypto and for stable coins, which could be a very big middle finger to the SEC. And then there's another thing which I found pretty interesting. This is just something that I think was kind of funny. The IMF, which again has been on Ripple side for a good bit here, and I guess has been pretty progressive towards crypto, says while a few countries have banned Bitcoin and crypto, this approach may not be effective in the long run. And John says, no shit, Sherlock, because it's kind of funny, right? A lot of these articles are always saying, well, crypto will survive in the long run, even though this country did that and this and this. I always tell you guys, whatever any country does for the longevity of crypto, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. The only negative thing is on the short term and for a lot of the retail guys who try to get in but don't know too much about technology. Right now, for example, I can buy crypto through any way, shape, or form if I know what is safe and where to store it, all that stuff, right? But I can find people to transact with peer-to-peer. I can find people I can give cash. I can find people I can give a bank transfer. I can find people that I can give crypto and they give me cash, whatever. You can find those people once you're more in that world. You don't need exchanges if they don't want to exist. You don't need the country to be really like, oh, transact here, there, the central bank approves it. Doesn't matter. Crypto will survive. We've been here before major exchanges were all very happy to be with it, and before all these countries were very happy to be with it. That's important. Even if every single country bans it, and they ban mining, they ban everything, people will still be doing it in their back. Wait, that sounds a little bit weird. People, there will still be people mining Bitcoin, for example, in their attics. Let's put it like that. And so the network will survive, and there will always be people who are excited for it, even if the major central banks are against it. Because I keep telling you, I think they will never be fully adapting of it. They will only do so if it makes them more money along the way, and it has benefit for them in terms of control. Otherwise, why would you? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And the reason it works that way is because, well, they know themselves it's not a long-term viable solution either. It's a short-term measure to keep as much money and power in their ecosystem, but eventually it flows out. And you know what? Before I go on too much of a tangent, guys, we'll talk about more interesting things later on in another video today. So make sure, guys, that you put that notification bell on. Yeah, that's about it. See you again in another one. Again, 2 more videos coming out today. Things are very freaking exciting. And yeah, that's about it.